Hey y'all, and welcome to Bleducation. I'm Mia.
And I am Brando.
Stole your thunder.
No, it's okay.
You know,
It's okay.
but this is Bleducation where we teach you about people you should know about, or teach you more about people you already know about.
All
So
right. And today we are going to discuss a really kind of tragic event.
yeah, actually,
Um, yeah. Ooh.
yeah. There's no way to spin this one to make it happy
Yeah,
or
it's
anything
not.
like
It just
that.
kind of really
So
sucks. So today we're going to be talking about the race riots that happened in Tulsa,
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, about 100 years ago. Well, 101. We're about to
Yeah.
we're about to hit 101 years. I think.
I can't do math,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna
What
go.
happened in
Yes, yeah, because 100,
19?
100 would have been last year.
Yeah,
Because
so
1921, right? Yeah.
yeah, so okay. So with the Tulsa riots, I know that a lot of people did not know about the Tulsa riots, especially growing up. I didn't hear about that,
Right.
and when I did learn about them, I made it definitely part of my curriculum when I taught my kids.
Absolutely.
Because we have like this little gap of time, like right
Mhm.
now, like we're about to be out of school, where we really don't have a lot of set curriculum to teach, and they're like,
Yeah.
kind of teach what you want. Um,
Tulsa,
Sit down. Y'all
Tulsa.
gonna learn about Tulsa.
I
All
actually
right.
have to commend some of our content creators because it was actually implemented in our curriculum about it wasn't my first year, so maybe last year.
Mm.
It was actually implemented in our curriculum with their commitment to promoting
Yes, absolutely.
racial
Yeah, I do.
equity.
Yeah, shout out to that because they definitely don't want us to teach
Yeah.
critical race theory or anything of that kind of
Which
sort
child,
down
I'll do what I
here.
want in my classroom.
And they were trying not to get us to teach about
Right.
they don't want the
Yeah,
people
it's
to know about
like,
Tulsa. But
but
that's why we're here. That's why this podcast is here. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. Just a little bit of background about Tulsa. Tulsa was at the time was definitely like most towns, I want to say, in the South, was segregated.
yeah,
So the black part of town was called Greenwood. What was different about this time, especially, and what was very rare, especially for it to be a city in the South, was that Greenwood was very affluent,
thriving,
like thriving. You have
thriving.
a solid black community
Doctors,
here that, yeah,
lawyers,
doctors, lawyers,
architects,
dentists,
yeah,
like
all the things.
it's black excellence.
Yeah, quite
It's
literally personified, like
yes.
quite literally.
So I don't know how long Greenwood had really been like flourishing like
Right.
that. But
Yeah, because
the
it's
two sides,
1921, so I mean,
yeah, and they're very much so still lynching people during
right,
this time.
yeah, for sure.
So I know that I want to say they were separated by like a train track or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. So
I believe
Greenwood
so.
was kind of like in a different part of the district or the city.
Hmm.
So basically, I feel like that to me, I'm feeling like if I'm in 1920s Oklahoma and I see a bunch of black people being successful and I'm, a white farmer or whatever the case may
Struggling.
be, like I'm gonna already feel away, right? And it's really only going to be a matter of time before something happens, like
Right.
that's going to come and like piss me off, I guess, if you will. But that's going to actually happen on May 30th, 1921. You're going to have a young black boy named Dirk Rowland. And he's going to be an elevator operator on the white side of town. And at I want to say it was at a building, maybe it's called the Drexel Building, I want to say.
Hmm.
But, anyways, so back then, it's not like you just get on the elevator and you ding. Or
Hmm.
if you're like me, especially during COVID, when you see somebody walking, door closed, door closed, door closed,
Okay,
like I don't hold the
child, don't
elevator
have
for
time for
anybody. Yeah,
that.
not me. But this is a manually operated
Yeah, you
elevator,
gotta
so
crank it.
you gotta have that.
No,
All
for
of
real,
that
you do gotta,
to crank it. So
because that thing is big. Actually, I've never really thought about that.
yeah, it's
Damn, with
huge.
people in it.
Yes. So
Hell, no.
various people tell different accounts of
Hmm.
what happened during this time, but the common consensus that I get is that there was some kind of physical contact that happened.
Hmm.
Now, of course, on why do I call that boy Dirk? His name is Dirk, something like that. Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
His
Um,
name is Dick.
okay, yes.
I didn't
So,
catch it. I'm sorry.
well, I don't know. I call him
Dick
Dirk.
Rowland,
Yeah,
to be
okay,
specific.
okay. Well, I don't know why I said Turk. Like, maybe I'm thinking about
And
Lil
listen, I'm
Durk.
just letting you go. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
our
Sorry.
bad.
Sorry. But anyway, so the version I like to think of is that he tripped and like in order or stumbled at some point because again, this is a manually operated
Hmm.
elevator, but he brushes up against this white woman. And I was
Right.
very much so like, sorry, excuse me,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But of course,
Can't let can't let it be.
Miss Mamas is like, oh my God, he has touched me. Yes, but
Right.
obviously, thinking about like what Jim Crow looked
I
like
was
during this
just
time,
about to say we're still in Jim Crow era, like
like
heavy, deep in
where
it.
you are not even allowed to be on the sidewalk
Walk,
if a
yeah,
white person
right.
is
You're supposed
walking
to
in.
get to the other side of the
You are not
sidewalk, you know?
looking anybody white in the eye. You are saying yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Like
Right. And
this is
it's,
definitely still ingrained,
yeah, I mean, still
in
really happening at this point. We don't get desegregation until
and
much
so
later.
now you have touched a
A
white
white
woman.
woman,
Like,
right?
oh no,
And that's that white woman syndrome. You know they're about to do the most.
so yeah. And then you also have, I mean, you have the Birth of a Nation to thank for
Yeah.
that, like that movie where that really just
Please, we do
kind
not have
that
time.
movie, and that movie that came out like what, like maybe like 10 years
Yeah.
before. So
Yeah.
you are definitely in full swing of the revitalization of the
I
KKK
hate that movie.
during this
I
time.
hate that movie.
And of course, for those of you who have not seen the original Birth of a Nation, this movie single handedly brought the KKK back
Back.
out of sleep. Because you have in the movie, you have a black
Mhm.
man who is being seen as attacking this
The
white
white woman,
woman who is
yeah.
the sign of innocence and purity.
And
So
he's
you,
just this big black savage that cannot be controlled, that is driven by
yes,
sex. Like, and it is a lot where a place where we get a lot of the stereotypes for specifically black men
mm,
nowadays. You know, just this savage that cannot control himself, that's driven by sex, and it just all these. I hate that movie. All these terrible things. I'm sorry, I hate it.
yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, news ends up spreading
Yeah.
around.
Roland is
Uh,
arrested.
he gets
Yeah.
arrested, and honestly, there's a mob that comes down to the courthouse or to the jailhouse rather, because they're like, hand him over to us. They want some street justice. They are ready to just go ahead and lynch him and ask questions later. But what you see here is you also see a black mob that is coming and they are armed and they're like, not this one. Like you're not going to touch him, which is probably going to essentially kind of pop this thing off because up to this
Yeah.
point in time, black people have really just kind of been like,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Take the shit
and
in stride.
and like Jim Crow is just like kind of like a thing that they have to deal with at this point in time.
Yeah.
So just the idea that black men in a mob will come down and kind of stand up to white people is not really heard of
Yeah.
as often during this time, especially
And
in the South.
I
And
think it's
there are
and
going to be consequences.
right. And I don't know specifically if this is actually true, but I did read somewhere that the actual sheriff's department protected him. Which I mean, I'm assuming is that the was the sheriff department just black based, and that's where we see the actual African Americans that are
Yeah,
protecting
so
him.
so the sheriff, I think that their idea was that if they let him be free, that he was going to get torn apart,
Okay.
which he really
Yeah,
was.
because I've always wondered because I've heard it was a mob that came to protect him, and then I also heard that just the sheriff's department was black, and they were the ones
Mm,
protecting them. But I do know that they eventually end up being outnumbered, unfortunately, and that's when we see the
yeah,
riot and the looting and the acting a fool.
yeah. So you have like this little, kind of like this little exchange between these black and white mobs where they're
Hmm.
arguing. There are some shots that are fired, but again, the black people are outnumbered, so they're going to go back to safety
Right.
near Greenwood District, and then shit goes down from there.
June
Okay.
1st. Yeah.
June 1st, we're transitioning into June 1st, the
The
early
wee
morning
hours of the morning.
hours.
Yeah.
It Greenwood starts getting destroyed, and it's just so
Disheartening.
yes. And like if you've
That's all you can
seen,
say about some shit like that.
if you've seen, I think HBO has done at this point two really good portrayals of Tulsa, and that was in Lovecraft Country. There was an
I still have not
episode.
watched. I need to do it.
Yeah, you need to watch it. But there is like a powerful episode that literally centers around the burning of Tulsa, and it's just ooh, it's, it just really just
Mm,
sent chills through me,
yeah.
knowing like what all these black people went through, like, and
Yeah, because that
then
has to be terrifying.
the other show is gonna be Watchmen,
Oh,
that
okay.
in the opening scene of the whole series deals with Tulsa. So these white people literally destroyed Tulsa, like they destroyed Greenwood, like they spent days.
Yeah, that's so Tulsa. I didn't know a lot about it, obviously, until I got older as well. Just because, I mean, I'm from Texas, we just simply did not learn it. Um, but I remember getting like older and reading about Tulsa and actually being like, "What the
Appalled,
actual fuck?"
yes.
Like, because do you like? I just think to know that people live here, reside here, and what you decide to do is to literally go burn their homes
Get in
and
planes
loot it
and
while you're
bomb
doing
them.
it, like that is the most like I can't think of anything else like that. Is just so egregious to me. Like I can't even fathom having that much hatred towards somebody to be like, okay, this is how I'm about to get my get back. I can't. I simply can't even imagine. It's absolutely horrifying.
So a martial law is going to be declared
Yeah,
during this time. The governor is going to send in the National
National
Guard,
Guard.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like he took his time
As
with
they always
that as
do.
well.
As they always do.
But um, you know what the crazy part is? They're going to arrest African Americans like during this time. Like the ones that are the victims here, they're going to imprison all of them for their protection, if you will.
But it's
But
like, why don't
they're
you
going to
get the
hold over
people that
6,000
are
people.
tearing shit up and take them?
And it just really bothers me that like this happened because again, this is like you don't see a successful black community like
Yeah,
set up like this, especially during this time. And it's just like to know that it was all destroyed in the matter of like a day or two. Like
yeah.
it just really like wows me that this happened. And to be honest, it's been 100 years, but it still hasn't fully recovered. You know.
Yeah, and it was what 35 total blocks that were destroyed within
Yes,
the
and they
span
had
of
like
this.
over 800 people that were like injured. Like it just sucks.
And there's
But
like upwards of 300 that
yeah,
died.
300 people that died, and I want to say that like when I was like reading about this, like I think it's something different to like read about like this in general from a generalized spectrum, but
Hmm.
like when you start looking at like different documentaries like from people who actually survived, and they actually start talking about people by name and saying like,
Oh,
oh,
that would break
this
my
is
heart. I
like
can't.
these are one of them he was like the most successful black physician in the South at the time, and
Oh,
he opened his door. He complied with this white crowd that had told him to put his weapon down. He did, and they shot him and
oh.
killed him. Like, and you know what it really reminds me of is something that just kind of currently just happened with in New
Mhm.
York with Buffalo,
Buffalo. Oh,
where you have this white supremacist who basically takes a weapon and writes racist things on the weapon, and he travels to
and
Buffalo.
travels.
He travels, and you know what? I really feel like he did the research because a lot of people don't realize that upstate New York, especially that area that's near Canada, it's extremely racist in that area. It's not necessarily
Yeah,
a
I didn't
great
know
place to
that.
be. There are some sundown towns there as
Wow, I
well.
did not
Like,
know that.
and so I absolutely believe that this young man like knew what he was going to do. He planned this out,
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely,
and he
without even
went
having
and
the context
yeah.
of what Buffalo or upward New York is like. I absolutely 100% believe that.
And
And,
I think he chose this, and he goes inside this grocery store and he kills what was it, like 10 people?
yep.
And like I think when I heard the story, I was just like, I know that a lot of people are desensitized to these mass shootings that happen, but it really struck home for me when
Yeah.
I saw the pictures. Like
I will cry right now. Stop.
when I saw like especially like these older
And
black men and women,
that's what
like
got
I'm
me.
thinking about like my grandma, like
Right.
that
And
could have been
uh,
easily have been like
I, yeah, I immediately went back to the church shooting. I don't want to give him. I don't want to acknowledge him, but I do
yeah.
remember. That's immediately what I went back to because I remember having that same feeling then because it was our older Black community. You know what I mean? And I'm not to say that, like, if it would have been younger people, it would have been any different. But like, I just feel like there's just something about seeing somebody that looks like my grandmother, who my grandmother lived through segregation, right? My grandmother survived that, and then to have their life taken through something so senseless and racist when we're supposed to be in this new environment, we're supposed to be these new people. I
Yeah.
think that really does something to me inside. Like it really does. I don't know. It's hard for me to even put it into words sometimes, but um, yeah, senseless violence is
Yeah, I just kind of like I
yeah.
don't know, like I just don't understand sometimes like what have black people done
Right.
to anybody else to make like other races kind of like hate us that bad, like where like someone decides that, oh, I'm gonna come destroy a whole community, or someone decides, oh, I'm gonna go inside of a grocery store and just cut down people.
And
Like it's just I don't
and
understand.
even thinking worst case scenario, right? Like if, God forbid he had raped this woman, do you
Mm,
think that's justification to go burn down an entire community of people that live here that like, and not just like, you're not saying, oh, I'm gonna get the grown people, like you're taking out children, like I
yeah.
just it's something that I have trouble fathoming. Like I can't even process it because it just
Hmm.
doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's very, I don't know. And that's the word I always come to, is the I don't know.
Yeah, I think that what's important to note here too when we talk about Tulsa is that um, there was a sense of community. Like what I do really appreciate is that um, Black people did come together to stand for something.
Yeah,
Um, like I think that they absolutely knew like if nobody would have came, like he would have been lynched,
yeah,
like for touching this white woman or whatever occurred. But I think that like them standing up still was a very powerful statement.
yeah.
I just am upset that it costs so much
Cost so
them
many
doing
lives.
that, but I mean, it kind of like just had to happen.
Yeah,
Um, what I don't like is that like the government tried to sweep this under the rug.
of course they did.
Um,
Would it be the government if they did it?
I mean, and even like with like I don't know with what's going on in Buffalo. Like, I mean, I know
Mm.
it's in the media, it's a news story, but that's even a whole nother story. Like where like they're already starting to put
Claim
together
mental
like
health.
yeah, and it's just
That's
like no, no, no.
so many people have mental health issues and manage to not go and murder people. Like that is not,
Yes,
and
like
especially with a massacre, like a mass murder. No, no, you're not getting off the mental health
yeah, and
claim,
it just
buddy.
like kind of like messes me up because I have to go to the grocery store right now. Like I'm running low on
Bro,
food, and it's just like
bro,
and
that's
we
it's
live in and we
scary.
live in Texas where like
Literally, like
where literally anybody can have a gun,
quite
and
literally,
you
you don't
never
need anything.
know. You never
You
know.
can walk into Academy right now and get a gun. Period.
You don't
Like
need anything except for it to be 18 and not be a felon.
right, like bare minimum guidelines, you know what I'm saying? And it's like we're supposed to just go about our regular day and act like nothing happened. And then when you complain about it, it's, oh well, that's a one time thing. Everybody's not like
Yeah,
that. Okay, but one person could be, and it could end my life. Like
yeah.
no.
I guess another thing is too with Tulsa. So of course there was like a mass grave. Place, and then like people were like moving bodies and different things like that because they were really trying to cover this up, like and pretend like this did not happen, and
They should be
they're
ashamed of
just now
themselves.
like 100 years later starting to give reparations
They
to
should be
the
ashamed of
descendants
themselves.
of like these people that
And that was
suffered from this,
over 100 years ago.
yeah. So just like I would actually like to close out today's episode with just like a moment of silence, not only for all of those victims of Tulsa, but even for the victims of
Buffalo as well.
Buffalo too. And these are their names, and I just want to honor them. Um, and, uh, and that's how we'll end the episode. Okay.
I
We'll
would
catch you
say.
guys next time. I am Brando.
And Mia,
We'll talk to you. Peace.
please.
I'm actually really in my feelings.
Actually,
actually,
but I
I'm
want that
actually.
end part. I want it to fade to.
What up? What up? It's your boy Brando from the Bando. Actually, I'm from the suburbs, not the Bando, but that's okay. I'm here to say thanks for watching the Polaris Network on YouTube. For exclusive shows and premium content, subscribe to the Polaris Network on YouTube right now. Seriously, what are you doing? Go subscribe. Go do it right now. What up? What up? It's your boy Brando from the Bando. Actually, I'm from the suburbs, not the Bando, but that's okay. I'm here to say thanks for watching the Polaris Network on YouTube. For exclusive shows and premium content, subscribe to the Polaris Network on YouTube right now. Seriously, what are you doing? Go subscribe. Go do it right now.